Look at your week, not the one you planned, the one that actually happened. You woke up before the alarm and reached for the phone before your eyes had finished opening. 90 notifications, none of them urgent. All of them answered. You had 11 meetings. 3 of them mattered. You prepared for all 11 anyway. You ate standing up. Twice you forgot whether you had eaten at all. You drank coffee at 4 in the afternoon and told yourself it would not reach the night. It reached the night. At 11, you lay down with the specific exhaustion of a man who has been useful for 16 consecutive hours. And you did not sleep. Your body was finished. Your mind was not. It kept moving in the dark, sorting through the day, finding nothing worth sorting. You know this pattern. You have known it for years. And here is the part that should interest you. You are not tired in the way a man is tired after carrying stone. That tiredness ends. You sleep, and it is gone. And in the morning, your arms work again. This does not end. You have taken the vacation. You have had the long weekend. You have slept 11 hours and woken with the same gray weight behind your eyes. And you have wondered, quietly, whether something is wrong with your blood. Nothing is wrong with your blood. Notice something. The fatigue never arrives during the work. It arrives in the gaps, in the elevator, in the car after you turn off the engine but before you open the door, in the 8 seconds between closing one tab and opening the next. That is when it hits you. And notice what you do when it hits. You do not sit with it. You reach for the phone, for the noise, for one more small task that did not need doing today. You fill the gap so fast that you have never actually measured how deep it goes. You have been running this operation for years, and you have never once been alone in it for longer than a minute. Watch yourself do it tomorrow. You will not have to wait long. Now, examine the guilt. You have carried it for so long that you have never once put it down and looked at its shape. It arrives on a Sunday afternoon. You are on the couch. Nothing is wrong. The work is done or done enough. And for 1 hour there is nothing that requires you. And you feel sick, not relaxed, not restored. A low nausea in the chest, a sense that you are getting away with something, that a bill is accumulating somewhere, and your name is on it. So you get up. You answer an email that could have waited until Tuesday, and the nausea passes. You have interpreted this as evidence of your weakness. You have decided that a stronger man would rest properly, would enjoy his hour, would not need to be useful in order to be permitted to exist. That interpretation is wrong. Set it down. Understand what you were actually trained to do. You were raised inside a machine that has no word for enough. Every system you have ever been placed in measures you by output and then quietly raises the floor. You hit the target, and the target moves. You were praised for the hours, never for the result. And nowhere, at no point, in no school, and no office, and no home, did anyone ever teach you what completion feels like. So you never learned to recognize it. A man who has never been shown a finish line does not stop running because he is stupid. He keeps running because nobody ever told him the race had an end. Look at the arithmetic of your day. It was never possible. 11 meetings, the household, the messages, the body, the people who need you, the version of yourself you promised to become. You did not fail to complete that list. That list was never completable. It was designed as a list that cannot be completed, because a man who finishes might stop, and a man who stops is no longer useful. Your exhaustion is not a defect in your character. It is the correct reading of an instrument that has been running past its limit for years, and is still, somehow, accurate. And the guilt you feel on that couch is not conscience. Conscience responds to wrongdoing. You have done nothing wrong. What you are feeling is a trained reflex, installed early, maintained daily, and it fires whether or not there is anything to fire at. You are not lazy. Say that plainly, because you have never allowed yourself to. You are not lazy. You have never been lazy. Laziness is the refusal to do what is required, and there has not been a single week of your adult life in which you refused. You have done everything that was asked. You did it while tired. You did it while nobody noticed. You did it on days when there was no reason to, and you did it anyway. The verdict on you is not guilty. It never was. The verdict stands. Every word of it. But notice what you were acquitted of. You were tried on one charge: laziness. And on that charge, you are innocent. And you always were. And nothing that follows takes it back. There was a second charge. Nobody read it out. And you have been very careful never to ask what it was. Go back to the elevator. You said the fatigue arrives in the gaps. That is true. But look again at what you do when it arrives, and look at the speed. A genuinely exhausted man does not flee an empty minute. He sinks into it. He would take that elevator ride like a mercy. He would sit in the car with the engine off, and the silence would be the best part of his day. You do not sit in the car. You reach for the phone before the door has finished closing. Not after a moment. Not reluctantly. Immediately. And with a precision you never had to practice. That is not a tired man's reflex. That is a man getting out of a room. And the Sunday nausea. You called it guilt. You have called it guilt for so many years that you have never once tested it. You have never sat on that couch for 10 uninterrupted minutes to find out what the nausea becomes when nobody rescues it. You have had 1,000 Sundays. You have never run the experiment once. Here is what you have actually built. Exhaustion is the only excuse this world accepts without asking a second question. Tell a man you are tired and he stops. He does not ask what you are doing with your life. He does not ask whether you meant to end up here. He nods, and he says he is tired too, and the subject closes. Nothing else works like that. Not sadness, not fear, not doubt. Every other answer invites a follow-up. Exhaustion ends the conversation, including the one you would otherwise be having with yourself. Give it its name: the exhaustion alibi. The condition in which a man keeps his hours full, not because the work demands it, but because tiredness is the only alibi that no one, including himself, is permitted to cross-examine. You did not fall into that schedule. You have had openings. The contract that ended, the project that got canceled, the 2 weeks that unexpectedly cleared. Every single time, the space filled within days. And you told yourself it was circumstance. It was never circumstance. It was you, moving fast, sealing a gap. You are not the prisoner of your calendar. You are its author. An author writes in order to keep the page from being blank. So ask the only question that is left. What is it that arrives on a blank page? What comes into the room the moment you stop moving? That is worth 20 years of running. It is not rest. You have never been afraid of rest. It is a question. One question. And it is very short. And you already know the words. Was this what I meant to build? That is all. That is the entire thing you have been outrunning since you were 26 years old. And notice that it is not a hard question. It does not require research. You could answer it in 4 seconds in a parked car with the engine off, which is precisely why it can never be allowed to arrive. Because you know what the answer is. You have known for a long time, and the moment it is said out loud, something changes that cannot be changed back. While the schedule holds, you are a man who was prevented. You had the capacity. You had the intention. Circumstances took it. That version of you is still innocent, still unspent, still theoretically capable of the life you described to yourself at 26. But if you are the author, then nothing prevented you. Then there was no cage. There were 19 years, and they were yours, and you spent them exactly as you chose to spend them. That is the arithmetic you cannot afford to run. Not because the work was wasted, because it was not taken from you. And there is a second column in that account, and you have never looked at it either. Someone used to ask you how your day was. Really ask. Waiting for the answer, in no hurry. They stopped. Not in anger. There was never a fight about it. They simply learned, over a period of years, that the answer was always the same and always short. And one day, they stopped asking, and neither of you marked the date. You did not lose that to your job. You spent it. It came out of the same account as everything else. And understand the cruelest part clearly, because it is the reason you will not put the alibi down. It works. It has never failed. Not once. It has carried you through every conversation, every anniversary of nothing, every quiet hour that threatened to become a reckoning. It is the most reliable instrument you own. But an alibi is only ever a delay. It holds until the day something takes the schedule away from you. The illness, the company that no longer needs you, the house that goes quiet earlier than you planned. And then you are in a chair, in an afternoon, with nothing left to answer. And the question will still be 4 seconds long. So here is the treatment. And it is not rest. Rest was never the treatment. You have tested rest for 19 years. The holidays, the long weekends, the 2 weeks by the water, where you answered messages at 7 in the morning, because the silence at 7 in the morning was intolerable. A sabbatical will not save you. You will fill it. You will arrive with a list, and you will come home tired, and you will call it a break. Understand that a man does not stop running by moving somewhere quieter. The treatment is the gap, the exact thing you have spent 2 decades sealing. Do this, tomorrow, in the car, when you turn off the engine. Do not open the door. Do not reach. Sit there with both hands in your lap and count out 60 seconds. That is all. 60 seconds. Once. It will be worse than you expect. The nausea will come, the one from the couch, and it will be stronger without the email to dissolve it. Your hand will move toward your pocket before you have decided anything. Let it move. Do not follow it. And somewhere in that minute, the question will arrive. Short, unhurried, entirely familiar. Was this what I meant to build? Answer it. Not carefully. Not with the version you would give at a dinner table. The 4-second answer. The one that is already sitting there fully formed and has been for years. It will probably be no. And now hear the part that no one tells you, because it is the only thing in this that is actually good news. No is survivable. No is a diagnosis. And a diagnosis is the first thing in 19 years that you can act on. The men who never recover are not the men who answered no. They are the men who kept the schedule full until 70, so that the question could never be put, and then sat in a quiet house with the answer arriving anyway, and no years left to spend on it. You are not choosing between a good answer and a bad one. That choice closed a long time ago. You are choosing between an answer and a delay, and you have already run the delay. You know exactly what it costs, because you have paid it every day. In a currency you have been pretending was fatigue. The 19 years are gone. Nothing here returns them. The only thing still under your authority is whether the next 5 are also spent buying silence. You were never lazy. That was never the charge. You were hiding, and you were very good at it. And it worked. And it cost you almost everything it was designed to protect. Now stop moving and let it arrive.